What's up, guys? So I was just looking through last year's numbers for one of my businesses, and it went from 0 to 2.7 million last year alone. Now, for about 7 years, I was up and down as an entrepreneur, really trying to make this stuff work and really trying to figure out what the secret was or how to actually make it happen. And there was a lot of books that I read over those years that started to reprogram my mind to a new way of thinking. So that's what I want to share with you guys in this video, is the secrets to the millionaire mind, and really try to break down this book in as best of a way I can so you can understand how to reprogram your mind in order to attract wealth into your life, in order to create the life that you truly want, and do it in a way that's sustainable. So not in a way where you just make money and then lose it, but in a way where you make money and you just keep going up and up and up, while also attracting amazing people around you, having incredible experiences, doing the things that you want, doing what you love, all at the same time. So we'll be back in a second to go over this book summary. All right, guys, so the secrets to the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker. This is a book I read a long time ago, and it led me down a rabbit hole of hundreds and hundreds of books, courses, all sorts of stuff, trying to figure out how to make more money so I could live a life of freedom. And along that path, then you start to realize, wait, it's not just the money I want, it's who I am being that's able to attract this money. It's how I'm thinking, it's how I can create my own emotions so I can feel how I want to feel, so I can act and behave how I need to act and behave in order to attract the things that I want. So this book was one of those gateway drugs for me. So I want to pass it on to you while also adding a little bit of other wisdom that I've learned over the years, so you can maybe grasp it a little bit from a different perspective and from some wisdom that I've accumulated as I have gone down this path. And before we get right into this video, if you like this content, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. It will really be something that's just paying this type of knowledge for, because that's the whole reason I do this channel. I just want to pay this knowledge and wisdom for, because it's made such a huge impact on my life. And one of my favorite things is when people leave me testimonials, or they tag me on their Instagram story that they're watching this video and something that they've learned from it. I would really appreciate that. So let's dive into the first step of this book, which is we are programmed from a young age to have a thermostat for wealth creation, for health, for all the areas in our life. So what do I mean by this? Well, just like a thermostat, when you put it to a certain temperature in your house, no matter if the window is open and it's getting colder, or something, the sun is coming in, it's getting hotter, the thermostat's constantly gonna keep correcting the temperature to what it wants it to be, what you set it to be. Now, this is very similar with wealth, with health, with all of the areas in our life. When we're growing up from a young age, we have certain programs that get programmed into us for wealth. And these are things that we carry forward into the future. For me, I remember I carried forward the thermostat of I'm never gonna make more than $50,000 a year. I don't know where that got programmed into me. Maybe it was from the fact that my parents and people around me and whoever it was made that amount of money, and that was just normal to me, so that's what I was programmed for. And I remember thinking that's what my life is gonna be. That's what I will get to at some point. And I was actually like thinking that would be amazing if I got there. And now, where I make way more than that per month, I'm like, you know, I'm looking back at it just being like, wow, I'm so happy that I ran into this type of information to realize that there is so much more to it than just, you know, learning a couple strategies to make money. You actually have to realize that how you are currently programmed and what your current beliefs are of what you can actually achieve and how much money you actually can make is the starting point to the actions and the habits and behaviors you're going to put in place in order to get that. Because the problem with the thermostat is, even if you ended up making more money than where your thermostat is at, you will find a way to bring yourself back down to that level. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to expand our thinking. We have to put ourselves into a higher level. So let's say our thermostat's at $50,000 a month, we got to start to put that up to $200,000, or we have to put it up to 1 million, whatever it is. We have to keep increasing it and actually believe that that is who we are, that is what we're going to attract, and then we actually start to act and behave in accordance to the person and the identity of the person that is that, not who we used to be or who we currently think we are based off of our past programming. Now, a big part of how these programs were put into our minds was an unconscious thing happening by the people we surrounded ourselves with, which were mainly our parents as young children. So our parents may have earned a certain amount of income, may have had certain thoughts and habits and beliefs about money that they unconsciously would talk about and tell you, and that became your programs and your subconscious programs. Because before the age of about 6 to 8 years old, everything is just being programmed into you without you consciously rejecting any of it. So it just seeps into your mind and you accept it because you don't have the ability to reject it. So everything that comes in your mind at a young age gets programmed into you, and then you move into adulthood, most of which your programming is already set without you even knowing how it got set that way. So this is where your thermostat starts, right? From a lot of these programs at a young age. The problem is it's very difficult to change them unless we become mindful of them in the first place, and then we start to reprogram them. We have to decode and figure out what it is that caused these programs in the first place, where they came from. We have to be consciously aware of them. Then we have to start to reprogram our minds to think differently. This is not something that you can just do unconsciously and just walk through life and hope money starts to come to you. That's a hope mentality. That's why most people are in the lottery mentality. They hope that they'll just win a big sum of money. The problem even with that mindset is over 80% of people who do win the lottery within 5 years have lost it all and are actually in a worse situation than they were beforehand. So it shows that their thermostat brought them back to where they were in the first place, and actually even lower because their thermostat hurt them when they accumulated that amount of wealth. What we want to do is we want to program ourselves to be able to earn that amount of income, but also keep it and keep making more money and allow our money to make money for us and create more income streams and allow this money to constantly be out there like little workers working for us. This is a different level of understanding in terms of how millionaires think and how wealthy people think. But if we were programmed just to trade our hours for dollars, make a certain amount of money, come home after work, not work on our business or work on our dreams or work on anything else, our thermostat is just, how do I make enough money to survive? How do I make enough money to pay my bills? How do I make enough money just to make it by? How do I make enough money so I have more money than the end of the month, right? And this is the mindset that a lot of people are in. And if that's where you grew up, what you grew up around, you're kind of in this, I need to make money mindset. I need to survive mindset, and we don't want to be there. But most of it was programmed from childhood from our parents, and that's good to know, and it's empowering to know that, because that means that we can change it. It's not a be-all end-all guarantee. We can go in there and we can into our minds and find out where those programs came from and start to realize, wow, that's not actually true. Wait, there's a lot of people who are in a situation worse than me and they made a lot of wealth. We can start to look at the stories, we can start to see things rationally and stop just accepting our subconscious beliefs at face value. And to do this, we have to start taking inventory of our thought patterns. In each area of your life, you have all of these thought patterns that have accumulated over time, and you did not consciously set up most of those thought patterns. Most of them came from your childhood and are subconsciously programmed into you. In order to start to change them, we have to take inventory about them. That means we have to be very mindful. This is why so many successful people do things like reflection and journaling. They're constantly journaling and reflecting. Each day they'll ask themselves, what did I do today? Why did I do it? How did it work? Why didn't it work? Why do I think that way? They're constantly asking why questions. They're constantly trying to decode why they think the way that they think, so they can constantly evolve and optimize their life. So they can start to cut out the things that don't work and increase the things that do work. And use the 80-20 principle. Find out the 20% of things in their life that are getting them 80% of the results. To do that, you have to do a lot of reflection, and you have to take a lot of inventory of how you already think in the first place. And you have to go back in time and figure out why those things happened in the first place. Think about that. If we don't even know why it happened in the first place, how are we going to change it? How are we going to actually get into that program like a computer hacker and find out how that system is operating so we can change it and move it in a different direction? Really, at the end of the day, over the years, like he never talked about it in this book, but the metaphor of you being a computer hacker of your own mind. If you think about a computer hacker, a lot of people will think about some evil person trying to break something, right? Or trying to screw something up. But the best computer hackers in the world are just the ones who can get inside of a system because they've found out how it works, and then they can change the way that system operates. I want you to think of yourself as a computer hacker of your own mind, where you're trying to find out why and how your system works and why it was programmed that way, so we can get inside of it, we can tweak it, and we can move it in the direction that we truly want it to go. To do so, we're gonna have to start breaking these patterns with new guiding principles and behaviors. Now, in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he talks about the concept of auto-suggestion. Or in the book Psycho-Cybernetics, he talks about the self-image and creating these new pictures of self, of who we want to be, of who we think we truly are, and using auto-suggestion to say, I am a millionaire, I attract millions of dollars, I attract wealth with ease. And we start to break all of these old beliefs with these new empowering guiding principles and behavior. So what will we have to do this? Well, we're gonna have to go and look at that inventory, look at those things that are not empowering us, those things that are not true, that are just subconscious beliefs that we've carried forward. And then we're gonna have to go in and we're gonna have to say, what do I wanna replace those with? So let's say it's, I believe I can only make $50,000 a month because that's always been my belief system. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna start to say, wait, that's not true at all. There's lots of people who are in a worse situation than me that have broken that. Okay, I'm breaking that pattern. That's not true. That's just a subconscious thing I've carried forward. Instead, I earn $200,000 a year. I earn $1 million a year. I know that that's who I am. I'm gonna start reprogramming myself to that. Then I'm gonna say, what are the habits and actions and behaviors that a millionaire takes? And then I'm gonna imagine myself as that person. So I'm gonna start to read the books of the people who went from zero to hero, and I'm gonna see what is it that they changed from when they were younger to when they were older in order to actually put that process into motion. What are the habits and behaviors that they put into place to attract that type of life? We're gonna question the thing that's bullshit, and we're gonna install the thing that works to get the results, all while imagining ourselves as that person and doing that over and over again with auto-suggestion. Imagining it, telling ourselves that's who we are. Imagining it, telling ourselves that's who we are. That's how our brains get programmed. This is actually something that happened when you were younger. The only thing is, when you were younger, you didn't have a choice. You just had to accept it. Now that you're older, you have to consciously tell yourself that, and your brain is gonna try to reject it and say, no, that's not who you are. You're still this person over here. So you're gonna have to do this process over and over. It is a practice, just like anything, just like going to the gym. You don't go once and get all muscular. It takes a lot of time of breaking down the muscle and rebuilding it, breaking it down and rebuilding it. You're gonna have to constantly work at this until you start to upgrade that program. But it's very possible. Thousands and thousands of people have done it. You can do it. I've done it. It's possible for all of us. We just have to be very consciously aware of what those past programs are so we can program them and replace them with better ones. Which leads us to, if you want to be rich, you gotta take fate into your own hands. You can't play victim. You can't play the effect anymore. The majority of people in this world are constantly in victim mode and are constantly in, the world just happens to me. I don't have any control over this world. Milton Erickson, one of the famous hypnotists, would do a very, very interesting thing with his clients. So his clients would come in and they'd be like 300 pounds and they'd say, I just can't lose weight. There's nothing I can do to lose weight. I've tried every program. I've done it all. Can't lose weight. I can't lose weight. In and of itself, the thing that they were saying to themselves was they can never change. They're a victim of life. So what Milton would do is he would say, okay, I'll help you, but you have to listen to everything that I'm gonna say and you have to do it to the T, even if it sounds like weird or doesn't sound right. It's like, okay, no problem. I'll do anything to fix my weight. He would say, I want you to gain an extra 20 pounds over the next few weeks or over the next month. I want you to gain an extra 20 pounds. Once you've gained the weight, I want you to come back and see me. And then they would come back after gaining the weight and they would say, all right, this was kind of like a weird thing, but I gained the weight. Now what? He's like, you're cured. You can go now. And usually what would happen, not always of course, is they would leave and they would go and they would end up losing the weight. Why is this? They realized that their fate was in their own hands. They realized that they could gain all that weight when they decided to when they made the decision to do it. So what was stopping them from losing the weight? What was stopping them from losing the weight before was them telling themselves that they couldn't do it. So they weren't actually following the programs or doing any of the things they thought because they didn't actually believe that it was possible. They believed that the world was against them. They believed that everything was happening to them versus them happening to life, them controlling life from the inside out. In order to be wealthy, you can't just hope for wealth. You can't just hope to win the lottery. Well, you can, some people, that does happen to a very tiny, tiny fraction of people, who most of which end up losing all the money in the first place. So that's basically useless. Most people are stuck in this situation of, I can't do it. How am I gonna do this? That's not who I am. I'm not that type of person. So they just push money away from them. But as soon as you take responsibility for your own life and you realize that you are in control of whatever you want to do, you can make the decision right now to read the right books, to watch these type of videos, to take the actions, to do the things that scare you, and you can keep moving in the direction and gaining more and more control and more power and going on this upward spiral, and you start to get the things that you want in life. Obviously, because this world is built off very specific laws, and that's why we can go to the gym and work out and get stronger and eat healthy foods and start getting in shape because we made the decision to take control. Same with getting wealthy. It's not just gonna happen. It's something that you have to take action on and know that you can do, and do it every day, and realize that the amount of money you make right now is where you are programmed. It's who you are right now, nothing else. It's you. Nothing from the external is keeping you where you're at. It's you keeping you where you're at. This is the idea of the elephant that in Africa, the baby elephant, they tie the rope around its leg and it tries to pull for days. And it tries and tries and tries. Eventually it gives up. Once this elephant grows to a huge elephant and it can pull a train, as soon as they put this little chain around its leg, it doesn't move. It believes it can't pull it out of the ground, even though it could easily pull it out of the ground. But it's mentally not there. It mentally believes it's still a tiny little elephant that can't do it. That's how most people work with wealth. They could do anything that they want in this reality. Anything within the laws of physics is possible, but since they don't believe it's possible, it isn't for them. Which leads us to, all future millionaires have to have a positive attitude towards money. And I think this is something that holds a ton of people back because they've been, watching movies and hearing from their friends and hearing from their parents over the years that rich people are bad. Money is evil. This couldn't be further from the truth. All people can be good or evil. Poor people can be good or evil. Rich people can be good or evil. Money in and of itself is just a medium of exchange. It's the lubrication between value forms. It's paper. It's actually intrinsically useless except for maybe starting a fire. We use it so we can exchange goods and services easier. That's why we use money. Money makes our lives easier. However, money in and of itself is just usually used to exchange value, right? If you're not burning it, you're usually exchanging this to get some sort of value, which means creating wealth is about creating value and then exchanging that value for the money, if that makes sense. So if you can exchange more value to more people, they will exchange more money to you, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. The problem is, because people watch these movies and they see the evil rich man, they get scared to want to go make wealth. But it's just because their minds are actually twisted to how money actually works. And they actually think anyone who became rich must have done it in evil ways. Actually, most people who become wealthy do it in ways that are giving value to other humans. I'm not saying every single way people do that is necessarily ethical, but I am saying that other human beings have to exchange their money in order to get the other value, which means no matter what, that person is always giving their money because they think they're getting more value than they're getting in return. If you start to see the world this way, you start to realize, okay, wait, how do I give as much value as possible to as many people as I possibly can? And then those people will give me money in return. And if I'm an ethical, good person, I'm gonna take a lot of this money that I make and I'm gonna give it to charity. I'm gonna start a nonprofit. I'm gonna do really good things, help my family, help my friends, help people in need with this money. So money in and of itself cannot be good or evil. It's neutral. What you do with it is either good or evil. Now think about that. Think about the power that you can have by going and making more money. Here's the problem that I find. A lot of people will use the rich people are bad as an excuse to why they are not taking action. Most of the time people are like hating on something, it's because they are too scared to admit to themselves that they are not doing whatever they can do to earn more income. So they would rather just push it away, drink a beer, sit on the couch, watch TV, and talk about rich people are bad, versus going out and taking responsibility for their lives, taking responsibility for making more income so they can help and spread more goodness to other people. Money can be a very good thing if you use it in a good way. So just try never to accept that money in and of itself is evil. Have a positive attitude towards it so you can do great with it. In the next section, T. Harv talks about how you can only get rich if you give it your all. And this really is true about anything in life. Like if you want to reach higher levels in any area, of course you got to put in more effort. If you're going to try to be an athlete, you got to put in practice every single day. You got to know what your goal is and go after it. If you want to be a top musician, the same thing. Every single area in life, if you don't put your attention on it and then your energy flows towards that attention, then most likely it's not going to happen. So we have to ask ourselves, do we really, really want it? Now, I believe that everybody does, because anytime you talk to anyone, people are like, I wish I just won the lottery. I wish I just won the lottery. A lot of people do want it. However, there's a big difference between really wanting it and kind of wanting it. A lot of people just kind of want to be rich at some point. Some people really want to be rich. Why? Because of their why. They have such a strong why. Some people, their why is just materialistic wealth. Fine, that's fine with me. Some people, like myself, I want to create lots of wealth and lots of abundance because I have such a huge mission in terms of helping this world, in terms of alternative education, people getting water, food, people having abundance, creating a world of abundance. If you ever read the book Abundance by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler, they talk about how the world is getting better in almost every way statistically. Like childhood mortality is down by tenfold. Average income is way up. More people have food than ever before, less violence than ever before, but the news will have us believe that it's going the opposite way. We're actually going in an amazing direction together as humanity. Of course, we have challenges, things that are coming up that we're also having to solve, and there's some areas of life that we are not perfectly moving in the right direction. But because of universities like Singularity University, which their whole mission is to bring in these genius students who are trying to solve problems that will affect 1 billion lives positively. That is their whole goal. The whole university is about how do we affect 1 billion lives positively. So over the years, I've been so motivated and so driven to start spreading this knowledge and wisdom, attracting the right people around me, learning the right marketing and business skills so I can be a part of this change. And in the process, I learned how to create wealth, because wealth can then be put towards these missions. When your why is strong enough, you will take the actions you need to take. When your why isn't, it's much easier to just say rich people are evil, because it justifies why you're not doing the things you need to do in order to make more income. Once you have taken responsibility for it and you are giving it your all, and you are now the cause of your life, not the effect, that's when things really start to change. That's when you're on the direction to becoming wealthy. Then T. Harv talks about you gotta reach for the stars if you want to become a millionaire. Or like Grant Cardone talks about in the new school way, is you gotta 10x your goals, 10x your vision, 10x your life. And I don't believe in this in every aspect of it, but I truly do believe on the bigger your why and the bigger your vision, the more you're gonna put into it. If you have small, weak goals, you're gonna take small, weak action. If you have big, giant goals, you're gonna take big, massive action, as long as you believe it's possible. And when you can put that belief and instill that belief in yourself, like you are gonna change the world in whatever way it is, and you can really see that huge vision, it gets you so motivated to get up in the morning, gets you so motivated to do the things you need to do. And it also makes all the criticism and all the fears and all the things kind of just like mosquitoes hitting your windshield. They just don't matter anymore because the weight of your massive vision is so much bigger. But here's the cool thing about like the 10x way of thinking things and the shooting for the stars thing is, like, even if you don't 10x it, what if you just 2x? What if you just 3x? What if you just get halfway? But your vision was so big, so even halfway is freaking amazing. What about then? That's incredible. So we have to stop thinking, oh, I gotta set this goal and I gotta hit it. Actually, the scariest thing most people can do is constantly set goals and always hit them. I almost never hit my goals, and people really need to understand this. If you are always hitting your goals, it's because your goals are too damn small. They're too realistic for you. So you're taking this realistic, easy action. You've like set up this little plan and you've hit this exact little goal. Great, fine, whatever. But if you really want to do something big, if you're Google, if you're any of these big companies, they know 50% of their goals fail every single year. Think about that. 50% are like long shots, because they know if they want to innovate, if they want to do something incredible, they have to go for things that are almost impossible. We would have never gone to the moon, we would have never gone to space if someone wasn't just so ridiculously thinking out of the box that like they were deemed crazy. And literally anybody, before they achieve the thing that they say they're going to achieve outside of what most people think is possible, is always called crazy. Always. But how I like to think of it, like Elon Musk talks about, is outside of the laws of physics, is it not, or anything outside of the laws of physics probably isn't possible, but anything inside of the laws of physics probably is possible. So what does that mean? Well, most people learn through metaphors, analogies, and stories of what's possible. And they learn from past circumstances to what is possible. So they say, oh, that's not already in existence, so it's not possible. That's how they think. They're here in the now and they believe that that's how things are. People who are 10x thinkers, who are thinkers beyond, they ask themselves, is it possible within the laws of physics? And then they go to work making it happen, gathering the team and inspiring people to that vision. Elon, Steve Jobs, any of these people, what they are best at is creating a vision of what they want the world to look like and selling that vision to very smart people who all come together into the team and make it happen, even though everyone else thinks it's impossible. And now we're on to something extremely important, which is we have to grow and expand ourselves into the type of person who can handle the money. And this is what I was talking about with the lottery. 80% of people who win the lottery are broke within 5 years because they never grew into the type of person who could handle the money. So as soon as they got the money, their instant gratification human brain immediately went to, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna go on trips, I'm gonna do X and X and X. Their mind was still working the exact same way it had worked before, which was the reason they didn't have money in the first place. So they just ended up broke and usually in more debt because they had all of these expenses to pay and they couldn't pay them anymore. So if you really start to look at it, you'll start to realize, okay, it's actually the person that a millionaire becomes in the process that's the real goal. That's the true prize. Who you become is the goal. So if you think about that, then you start to ask yourselves, how can I grow and evolve into the type of person who can earn and keep money? Then you ask yourselves, what are the habits and behaviors of a person who can grow and keep money? Then you, instead of focusing on strictly money, you focus on who do I need to be? And the money starts to follow that. This is like the principle of creating and exchanging lots of value in order to earn income. And then taking that money and investing it into assets that make money for you. How most people think is they trade their hours for dollars, which when you trade your hours for dollars, you have a very limited amount of income you can make most of the time. And then they just spend their money on liabilities. They just consume lots of things and then they don't have any money left at the end of the month. How wealthy people think is, how can I exchange as much value as possible to earn as much income as I can? And then how can I put that money to work for me into assets that are constantly making money, so my money is working all the time. Those are two very distinct ways of thinking. But the person who just gets wealthy out of nowhere, who never worked for it, usually ends up broke. Whereas the person who maybe loses it all and because they made a bad business decision or something happened or the market went or whatever, well, they come back in the next couple years wealthy again because they had the mindset of creating wealth. So you want to first get your mind into it, get the habits and behaviors on point, become that type of person first, and then the money starts to come. And lastly, if you want to be rich, you have to think very highly of yourself. And this goes back to the psycho-cybernetics of creating the self-image. We have to create our self-image as somebody who is wealthy. We just know that we are wealthy. The big thing about the self-image is realizing that our actions and behaviors follow our identity. Who we think we are is how we act and behave. So if we think we are a poor person, we act and behave like we are a poor person. If we think we are rich, if our identity believes that it is rich, it's gonna find any way to become wealthy. We're gonna find the circumstances, opportunities, peoples. We're gonna read the right information. We're gonna constantly keep upgrading ourselves because we know that's who we are. We are the type of person who is rich. Your identity controls you. So how do we change our identity? We start with the self-image. We start to create pictures in our minds and imagining who the perfect ideal version of ourselves is. And we do that on a regular basis as a practice. The subconscious mind does not understand the difference between an experience in the mind and an experience in reality. And if most of the time what you're experiencing is the poor person or the person that you think you are currently, then you're gonna keep acting and behaving like that person. If you spend more of your time imagining the version of yourselves that you know you can be or know you are, the ideal version of yourselves, you're gonna start to become that person. You're gonna pull that future version of yourself into the present moment. There's an infinite amount of you right now. There's an infinite amount of possibilities right now. There's an infinite amount of decisions you can make. It's endless. Who you're gonna become is gonna be based off of who you think you are, who you think you're pulling into the now. And if you're pulling the person from the past into the now, based off of the failures and experiences you've had, and you think that's who you are, well, you're gonna get more of the same. You're gonna keep doing the same things, expecting a different result, wanting something more, which is basically the definition of insanity, like Albert Einstein talks about. You are going to just be acting and behaving like the person you thought you were and being that person now, and you're gonna get more and more and more of the same. To change it, we have to change our self-image. Who is that version that we truly believe we are? How can we program ourselves to be that person and start acting and behaving like that person? So what I do in the mornings is I keep my eyes closed, I visualize myself, that perfect ideal version. How do they carry themselves? How do they act and behave? How do they talk to people? What actions do they take? What habits do they put in place? I constantly ask myself that, and then I open my eyes and I am that person. I let go of the person I thought I was because that person didn't get what they wanted in life. That person was poor, broke, unhappy, depressed. I don't want to bring them forward anymore. I want to pull that person from the future into the present moment. It's the exact opposite to what most people do. If you start to do that on a regular basis, over and over again as a practice, you'll start to realize, wow, I'm acting and behaving like this new upgraded version of myself all the time. I actually am that person. I'm actually not that old version. If you can do that, you will start to create more wealth, attract more people into your life, create the better circumstances, feel better, get healthier. All the things that you truly know you are will become your reality. So to summarize, if you want to create the millionaire mind, you have to be the cause of your life. You can no longer be the effect. You can no longer be the victim of circumstance. To do this, we have to look back at why we were programmed the way we are programmed. And we have to go back and start to look at all that, take inventory on it, and start to change it into more empowering thought patterns, into more empowering actions, behaviors. To do this, we're gonna have to start to use a lot of auto-suggestion. And we're gonna have to say, I am a millionaire, that's who I am. We're gonna have to start imagining the ideal version of ourselves that we wanna become and put ourselves into that over and over again as a practice, because the conscious mind does not understand the difference between an experience in the subconscious, in the imagination, and an experience in reality, in the physical reality. So that means we have so much power to create whatever we want with our imagination and practice it over and over again in our minds and become it and feel it and be it in our minds so that we wake up into this reality and we are that person. I actually even used to use a technique when I would do public speaking where I would actually literally just tell myself, I'm just an actor in a movie. for this speech. I'm gonna just go out and act and behave like the movie, the star role character in a movie, and I would just act and behave like that person. And it actually took off all the pressure because I'm like, I'm just in a movie, I'm just doing an acting role, no big deal. But over time, I actually started to become that person who could just speak in front of people, whereas before I couldn't. It's really crazy how we can like really just trick our mind, because our minds are just, almost all of this chatter and all this stuff in our minds is just illusions. It's just past illusions that are all coming together to give us a certain feeling based off of our past, based off of what we think we are, and it's mostly not true. As soon as we can actually pull that future version of ourselves to the present moment, and we can be that rich person we know we are, so we can contribute more to this world, so we can live a life of freedom and abundance, help our families, our friends, all the world, life gets amazing. But it all starts here, guys. The secrets to the millionaire mind, it all starts in the mind and comes out from there. Be the cause, not the effect. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. I would super appreciate it. And like I said at the beginning, add this on Instagram. Say you were watching this video, tag me. I would absolutely love that. Or send me any testimonials when you start to get some results from this stuff, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Peace.